What changes do you see coming in Southeast operations in the Northeast in the next couple of years?
Well, I think, if you just take the context of what's happened in the last 18 months, it's really all been about shrinking the network, right? Living up to what's going on in the economy and actually pulling down flights. And so I think we would love to turn that back around and get to where we're beginning to grow again. We're actually adding flights in some of our airports, but most of what we've done recently has really been shrinking the network. We have added though. So if you look, I know it's not Bradley, but we've added LaGuardia, for example.
Right.
We've added Boston Logan. We added Minneapolis. Milwaukee opens next week. So we've added selectively where opportunities are, and I think there are opportunities in the Northeast as well.
How is it going in Boston and LaGuardia?
They're both going actually very well. Boston and LaGuardia both. For what I would call really new opportunities for Southwest Airlines. So those are sort of things, while we've been in big airports for years and years, coming into a large airport and serving it in a way that is a little more limited, where you're actually accessing folks from our current network and relying on bringing them to Boston, bringing them to LaGuardia, and then also developing local traffic. That's kind of a new thing for us, but they're both exceeding our expectations, which is a great thing, particularly after just a few months.
Hartford sits almost exactly between the
right.
two, between LaGuardia and Logan, and one might expect that you would be drawing some passengers who used to go to Bradley. I haven't seen any reductions yet, but I think it's fair to wonder, will we? What about the future in Hartford?
Well, we've not. You're right. We have not seen any degradation of the performance in Hartford with the addition of the new service. In fact, if you look at Boston Logan, you would, if you're Manchester or you're Providence, you would worry even more, I think, because they're right on either side of the area. But as we did our research, what we found was that the area that Boston Logan draws from, kind of downtown proper and a little bit outside, really overlapped very little in terms of where our passenger base from Providence and Manchester were coming from. So we've actually seen very little cannibalization in that area. And I think the same thing goes for Bradley.
When you look at the Northeast as kind of a bigger picture, Gary talks about you're going to expand the route system and leave capacity rather flat. You look at the Northeast, you think, where else could you expand there? That means you expand elsewhere and the capacity in the Northeast goes down? Or no?
I think a lot of our capacity reductions, we're down about 5 to 6% year over year, are really less about pulling any particular area down severely and more about selectively. So a lot of the flights that didn't perform were very early in the day, a 6 a.m. departure, or very late in the day, a 9 p.m. departure. And that is a lot of what we've trimmed out, because those flights in a lot of cases were not covering the cost of fuel. So that flight lost money before it got off the ground. We also have pulled down frequency. So we had city pairs where we were running 26, 28 flights per day in the city pair. And given the economy, you could cut back 2 or 3 and still be very successful in that market, still have great service. And that's what's really being used to fund the new growth, like a LaGuardia, like a Boston. There are other opportunities. You look at New York City. I think you've got 7% of the domestic traffic in New York City proper, and we have a handful of flights a day in one airport. So is there opportunity to grow LaGuardia? Is there opportunity to get into a Newark, for example? Well, sure. Now you've got to get slots. They're slot controlled. But I think there are a lot of opportunities. It takes a couple of things. It takes managing our risk, so we want to see these new opportunities perform. And really it takes the economy turning around to want to come back and add those flights back.